Hello everyone, I am Bratin. This is my assignment number 1. I have made a fidget spinner. For making this fidget spinner, I had to design the multiple parts first and then had to assemble them in a proper way. This is the main structure of the fidget. For designing it, I first designed it in the XY plane. The radius of this circle, I took it to be 11 mm and for these three circles also. This outer curvature had a radius of 14 mm. The distance between the centers of these two circles, I took it to be 28 mm. This curve contains an angle of 240 degree at the center and for this curve, it is 120 degree. Then I used the pad option and gave it a pad of 7 mm. For all this of the edges, I used the fillet option and gave it a fillet. This is the bearing part of the fidget. Using the cylinder option, I designed it. This radius I took it to be 4 mm, this one 6 mm, this one 9 mm, and this one to be 11 mm. This height I took it to be 7 mm. I used this option of making a cut of two shapes for making this. I created a torus solid for making this design inside by making cut of the two shapes. I created a sphere of 2 mm. Then I used the polar array option for designing all these spheres. This is the top of the cover of the central bearing of the fidget. For designing it, I designed these two upper parts first in the XY plane. This height was 7 mm, this height was 2 mm, this radius was 3 mm, this radius was 4 mm, and this radius was 5 mm. Then I used the revolve option for making this one. After using the revolve operation on the upper part, I took the base plane of this upper part and drew a circle of 12 mm. To that circle, I gave a pad of 3 mm and used the fillet option. This is the lower part of the cover of the central bearing of the fidget. For designing it, I first designed the upper part, this one and this one. This radius was 2 mm, this radius was 3 mm, this radius was 5 mm, this height was 6 mm, this height was 2 mm. After designing it, I used the revolve option for making this one. After using the revolve option, I made a circle of radius 12 mm on the base of this upper structure. Then I used the pad option for making this bottom part. Then I used the fillet to give it a fillet radius of 1 mm. Finally, I imported all the parts in this final project. Then I used this A2 Plus workbench to assemble all those parts in a proper manner. Finally, I saved this one as an HTML file. Now we're at the Ultimate Cura software. I have imported my final project over here. The print settings that I will be using is shown over here. The profile is fine. The layer height is 0.2 mm. Wall thickness 1 mm, infill density 100%, printing temperature 200 degrees Celsius, build plate temperature 80 degrees Celsius, print speed is 60 mm per second, build plate addition type is brim. As we can see, the printing time estimated is 3 hours 20 minutes. Now I am going to save it